What's up everyone, back with another video, and I'm actually really excited to do this video because I do think it's going to apply to a lot of people. I know a lot of videos in the past I've discussed, weight loss, dieting, and everything like that. So in today's video, I'm actually going to tap into building muscle, rep ranges, different types of muscle fibers in each muscle, and things like that. So if building muscle, toning up, and anything that pertains to that is something that you're interested in, I would definitely recommend watching this video until the end. I think the first thing we have to look at is two misconceptions when it comes to resistance training. Okay, the first one is if you want to get ripped, you use low weight, high reps. Okay, and if you want to build, you want to use heavy weight, low reps, right? And I would say this is one of the most common things that I speak about with potential clients, actually women in particular. They don't want to get too bulky, so they want to say that, they want to use lighter weight for high reps. But actually, with the data, like some of the newest data that we have, it actually shows that that approach tends to be almost the opposite now. So actually, if we were using a little bit lighter weight and performing more repetitions, that actually might stimulate more hypertrophy or muscle gain than the other way around. And I would just think from a calorie burn standpoint, if you wanted to lose weight, obviously we want to try to expend as much energy as possible. I would assume that lifting heavier weight would force you to work harder, so that actually would help on the weight loss side. So that's kind of the first thing that I would say is opposite on what a common thought process is when it comes to resistance training. The second one is that you have to use free weights if you want to build muscle. Machines don't help you build free weights. And that's actually a really comical statement to me because the first muscle that comes to mind for me would be the calves, right? I guess nobody would have good developed calves, I guess, unless genetically, because I don't know of too many free weight exercises that are going to help grow your calves. So I think that is completely debunked right now as well. So I do believe that you can generate the same amount of results from free weight or from a cable or plate loaded system or any other type of machine system. I would say, in my personal opinion, the most important factor is executing the exercise. So when we talk about going through the exercise, we always want to take a look at some different cues, right? We want to make sure that we're actually fully lengthening the muscle, and a lot of the times to make that happen, we actually will flex the antagonistic muscle. To give you an example, to fully lengthen the bicep at the bottom of a dumbbell curl, you'll want to make sure that you flex your tricep. That's the only way to fully lengthen the bicep. So, and then on the other side of it is we want to make sure that we can get the muscle as short as possible. The shorter that we can get the muscle, the better the contraction. Therefore, I believe it would stimulate more growth in the area or more breakdown in the area from the exercise. Okay, so now taking it an even step further is starting to point out the type of muscle fibers that each muscle has. So there's typically three different types of muscle fibers in the body. You have type 1, which would be considered like a slow twitch muscle fiber. Then you have type 2A, which would be more along the lines of endurance, an endurance fast twitch. And then you have a type 2B or type 2X, whatever verbiage you want to use, and that would be more on like the power, the velocity type of fast twitch. So I think if we can look into each muscle group and determine what muscle fiber tends to be the most predominant in that area, I think we actually can even maximize our training. So looking at it from the most scientific approach that we can, especially if you're a natural athlete and you're a hard gainer and it's really hard for you to build muscle, I think this is really important to take this into effect, or to factor this in, is that knowing how to train each body part in a certain rep range or with a certain amount of load, I think is very important. So let's start with the lower body, right? The lower body actually is going to be almost all type 1 muscle fibers, so those are going to be slow twitch. Now I would just say, using my head, that would make sense because type 1 would be more based on like endurance and being able to, you know, utilize that muscle for a long time. And that's probably because it dictates your walking and everything like that. So I would even say that maybe using a little bit lower load for a higher rep range maybe would end up being more beneficial for overall leg hypertrophy or just overall leg building, if that makes sense. I would say especially when it comes to training your calves. Actually, the soleus has the most slow twitch muscle fibers there are in the lower body, and you know, a perfect example for that would be if you've ever seen somebody that went through a significant weight loss, 9 out of 10 times they actually have really good developed calves. And I think it's because it's such a muscle that's engaged whenever you're walking. If you had to walk around with that excess weight for, you know, so many years, your calves would look much larger once you do lose weight. So I would say approaching the resistance training program in that manner would be extremely beneficial. Now let's take a look at the upper body, okay? So now the upper body is going to be more predominantly type 2B or type 2X muscle fiber. So those are going to be like more on the fast twitch side. So I would say the opposite of the lower body, I would try to use a little bit more of a heavier load and a little bit lower rep range. I think would be more beneficial when it comes to hypertrophy and building muscle. So there's pretty much one muscle that kind of teeters on it, and that would actually be your delts. So overall, your delts actually have displayed a lot of slow twitch fibers as well. So I would say those can be trained either way, and I would say maybe to alternate would be the most optimal to make sure that we're maximizing all the fibers in the delts. And for the most extreme, I would say that the pec has been shown to have the most fast twitch muscle fibers. So I would definitely try to utilize a heavier load with a lower rep range to stimulate the most growth in the pecs. So I think that's really important just when you actually understand what is the most optimal way to train. I just wanted to make a short video on that and really just try to approach it from like a scientific based way of training, because you know things are changing. You know, this isn't 1985 anymore where you know we only have 10 different exercises and everything like that. We do have a lot more data to look at, and therefore a lot more studies with a lot more results. You know, but overall my take on this for you would be use what works for you. You know, I guess genetically speaking, you know, some people are going to be different, so whatever is the most optimal approach for you to take, I would recommend taking. I would just say the more knowledge that we have and a better, or not better, but a smarter way to train is always a better approach. Especially if you're able to use a little bit lighter load and get the same results. I would say that's definitely going to lower the risk of injury and everything like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. There's going to be much more videos to come just like this. We're going to do a video on occlusion training or blood flow restriction training and the benefits on that, and just lots more to come. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do. Give this video a thumbs up. Let somebody else know about it if they could benefit from it, and I hope you guys enjoyed.